Welcome to ITT Talks. My name is Anastasia Lavrina, and today we have our special guest, Maurizio Geri, who is a former NATO analyst and academic researcher. Just recently, he visited Baku, Azerbaijan. He participated in two very important conferences held in Baku in Azerbaijan. And now let's talk with him about many issues related to our region and to the global agenda. Maurizio, hello and welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to talk with you again. So the first topic I would like you to tell us more about. Finland became the 31st member of NATO alliance, and taking into account your background of working in this military alliance, could you tell us more about this event and how it will benefit the alliance itself and Finland?
Well, let's start saying what the Secretary General said yesterday before to ratify the accession of Finland. He said that Finland is safer and NATO is stronger. What does it mean? It means that our alliance, that is a defensive alliance, is based on the concept of deterrence, meaning the costs of possible attacks are superior than the benefits. So in order to deter an attack from a country like Russia that is currently doing the first war of conquest of the 21st century, Finland decided to become an ally of NATO after many years, decades of neutrality. They felt that in our family, in our association, in our membership, in our group of democracies, because let's not forget that NATO is a political military alliance, meaning is a group of democracies that try to defend the democracy and the borders of their national sovereign states. Through this membership, Finland felt safer. NATO is also feeling stronger because Finland is bringing, first of all, a gigantic military power, because they have artillery that is bigger than France and Germany together. They have 2% of GDP expenditure in military expenditure, 2% of GDP in military expenditure, which is the threshold that NATO requires for every member, but not many members reaching that level. They also have 300,000 soldiers ready in case of attacks and 900,000 reservists. So it's a gigantic country which borders with Russia that can help also NATO to be stronger.
Mauricio, but we also know that there were two countries which decided to join NATO. It's Finland and Sweden. And Turkey and Hungary put some conditions for two countries to become a member of this military political alliance, as you said. So today we can see that Finland is a member of NATO, but Sweden still is not a member. How can you see the process of future ratification for Sweden if there is a chance for this country to become a member alliance in the near future?
Yes, there is a great chance because first of all, we have to say that our alliance is based on consensus decision making. The consensus process requires all members to agree. And if someone put a veto, put a block, there is a reason. And the reason is based on their security needs. So Turkey is asking to be respected in their security needs regarding this PKK group and terrorist groups with some requirements. Of extradition, of a change in the legislation of the two countries. So Turkey felt that Finland reached that threshold, that level, Sweden not yet, but Sweden is working on that because there is a trilateral memorandum of understanding between Finland, Sweden and Turkey, and now remain bilateral, in which there is a list of activities that Sweden is going to do it and is already doing. So there are discussions, there are negotiations under the umbrella of the Secretary General, and I'm pretty sure that this year, probably after the elections in Turkey and maybe before our Vilnius summit in July in Lithuania, there will be some changing also for Sweden.
And how you can see if the situation in Sweden is being changed now, because there are two events which happened in that country, so really pushed back the country from the ability to become a member of NATO alliance, the burning of Quran and those protests which took place in Sweden just recently. Do you feel that the population of these countries, I mean, those who were radically behaved against Turkey, are ready to change their attitude to the situation? And the most important question is whether the government of this country is ready to follow all of those conditions put by Turkey.
So yes, regarding the crackdown on terrorist groups, Finland was maybe more able to do it, but we have to remember this. As I said earlier, NATO is a political military alliance. What does it mean? It means that is an alliance of democracies. And Sweden and Finland are the highest ranking democracies in the world. So there is a fine line between the freedom of expression and the risk of supporting hate speech or protests of groups affiliated with the terrorist groups in Turkey. So this is up to the judicial power, legislative power, and executive power of Sweden to decide which actions to take in order to fulfill the requirements of the Memorandum of Understanding. It will take, as I said, some time, but we have also to respect the sovereignty of Sweden at the same time that we defend and respect the needs of security of Turkey. So there is a fine line there, and there is a process of negotiation in which the domestic actors of Sweden are active in moving on towards the requests of Turkey.
I can understand the situation within the NATO alliance and within the European Union when the countries are mostly curious about the situation around Ukraine. But how can you comment on the position and attitude of the European Union towards the South Caucasus? During your visit to Baku, we had a chance to talk with you about the decision of the European Union, say the mission to Armenia on the border with Azerbaijan. And some days before, the representative of that mission made a very provocative statement. He said that their presence in Armenia can prevent any kind of escalation and possible attack, how he said, from Azerbaijan. If it will not happen, that means this is the progress achieved by the mission of the European Union. In my understanding, that's a very provocative statement which will not benefit the region itself and will not bring any stability. How you can comment on that?
Well, the situation of the South Caucasus is an important and delicate situation because there is, as we know, a ceasefire after the war organized by the Putin regime with 2,000 troops in Azerbaijan, which are not helping very much the negotiation process. On the opposite, my analysis that they are maintaining a status quo, a frozen situation that could escalate. On the other side, the European Union sent this civilian mission, as we spoke when we met in Baku, in Armenia, but also is not very much helping the negotiation process. Why? Because 1 year ago, Charles Michel, the president of the council, here the European Council, called the president of Azerbaijan and the prime minister of Armenia in a negotiation table. After that, the negotiation stopped for different reasons. Also because of the Ukraine war, maybe there was a feeling of European Union to not interfere too much in order not to escalate or upset the Russian regime. But for what is my understanding is here in Brussels, the decisions are moving on in taking again the leadership in calling a peace process hosted by European Union through also the representative who is Toivo Klar, representative of the EU External Action Service for the Caucasus, and maybe in the future also through the NATO representative for the Caucasus, who is a Spanish diplomat, Colomina, for the Caucasus and Central Asia. And hopefully NATO and the EU could step up in support the peace process of between Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Some weeks ago, a EU representative to South Caucasus, Tove Klar, had a chance to visit the South Caucasus. He was in Armenia, he was in Azerbaijan, and if I'm not mistaken, some days ago there was a small conference held in Brussels where you also participated with the attendance of the Tove Klar. Do you feel from his statements, from his speech, that he has a positive attitude to the situation in the region? And maybe you can tell us more about that conference held in Brussels, how it can also answer to the key question whether we are on the way to the peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan, or we are step back.
Yes, I was personally there and asked personally a question to Mr. Tovoklar. What would it take for Michel to call again a table of negotiation here in Brussels? He said that they are looking for a more structured process, but he also asked for more leadership and requests from the local actors, meaning the presidency and the prime ministry of Armenia and the presidency of Azerbaijan. So maybe there is a space there where the representative of the governments of the two countries can ask the EU to be more proactive, to take an action, to have a goodwill, a political will to step up and support the negotiation process of between these two countries. So I think that conference was important, informative, and also was an advocate for the solution of the permanent solution of the situation in the South Caucasus.
Maurizio, we know that one of the key elements from the trilateral statement signed in November 2020 was the use of the Lachin road only on the humanitarian purposes, and to withdrawal all of the illegal military forces of Armenia in the Karabakh region of Azerbaijan from the region. 2 and more years passed in that time, but unfortunately, 2 of these agreements, 2 of these points from the statement were not implemented by the Armenian side. And the situation on the Lachin road shows that only within the last 3 months the road is being used for the humanitarian purposes. Before, it wasn't like that. And the decision to have a checkpoints on the Lachin road became very actual within the last months. There too much discussion, and we see that on behalf of the European Union or any other country, there is no any statements made against this decision to have a checkpoints on the Lachin road. So maybe it can bring two sides closer to the peace deal if there will be checkpoints on the roads and if the militarization of the Karabakh region of Azerbaijan will be stopped. How do you see?
Yes, I think checkpoints could be useful. The point here is that without being on the ground, it's difficult to evaluate. So the problem also of our, European bubble, as we call it, sometimes we do declarations without knowing the situation on the ground. Which is why, for example, in May, I'm honored to come to the Shusha city through the ADA conference and visit the country and also the region of Karabakh. But it could be maybe useful for some envoy of the EU to come and see the situation on the ground and so understand maybe the importance of these checkpoints on controlling the passage of goods and people.
Well, Maurizio, thank you. Thank you so much for joining our IGG Talks today. It was a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.